introduced in our last webinar SafeTpal. SafeTpal is a safety and security ease of use solution, your trusted companion for safe and secure applications with RX TC3X and TC4X microcontrollers. SafeTpal is your companion in the development process for safe and secure application. There we have a lot of products and services for you. And today we will talk about safety development, our hard and software development team, which is part of a complete project to support you in your project. And that's now the time to hand over to Matthias.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Welcome also from my side. I'm Matthias Spranz, as Wolfgang introduced. I'm head of the engineering division here at Hitex. And my main task is to lead our team of safety engineers throughout the customer projects that we would do for our customers and potentially also for you. Our expertise lies in functional safety and embedded security. When it comes to safety, of course, there are a lot of different standards for different various industries, like ISO 26262, IEC 61508, and so on. So our engineers have a solid background in these various safety standards, with excellent know-how in different microcontroller architectures or from various microcontroller vendors. And for example, for Infineon, we are preferred design house for the Aurix, the XMC, and the TLE product family. And we are also an ARM Cortex functional safety expert and trusted partner of ARM for, I think, more than 30 years. I think somewhere in the 80s, our connection to ARM started. So we have a lot of experience in those fields. But that's all well and good. You can trust that what I'm saying is correct. But at least for the process side of things, you don't have to trust me. You can also trust in the TÜV-certified. We have certified our development process that Hitex developed according to different functional safety standards. So this is not just that we have the process. It was evaluated by the TÜV that it serves the purpose of achieving products up to ASIL D or SIL 3, SIL 4 in various industries. We are also certified according to TISAX. This is an information security assessment mainly used by the automotive industries. So this is a important puzzle piece in having the correct certifications when it comes to work in automotive with OEMs or bigger tier ones. And all of the other parts of our development of the quality management system outside of our core development process is also assessed externally and conforms to ISO 9001. So it's kind of an obvious one that we need. So I've heard a lot of different standards and numbers of standards thrown around. What do they actually mean? So we have a strong background in automotive, since we are working a lot with automotive microcontroller vendors and manufacturers. We have good connections, for example, to Infineon. As I mentioned, we are preferred design house. So we have a strong focus on automotive development with, of course, a focus on functional safety and security. The technologies used in automotive are usually quite advanced, as they are leading, at least when it comes to microcontroller technologies. So these technologies are often used also in other industries, for example, construction and agricultural vehicles. They don't have the vast numbers of units produced per year, so they often use, of course, the automotive components and technologies, and Hitex is helping to transfer these kinds of technologies and know-how from automotive customers to other industries like construction and agricultural vehicle. Same also for industrial automation. automotive safety controllers are often used in these industries as they are quite advanced. And Hitex is often tasked in bringing this knowledge transfer for automotive, for robotics, to make their products safe and secure. Similar story for medical and railway. With my personal background in medical development, we often used controllers from other industries like automotive controllers also in that field. And that was also my first personal experience with Hitex. I used to be a customer of Hitex and now I'm part of it. Railway, similar story. We have some interesting projects in the railway safety environment, either in the infrastructure or in rolling stock products for bigger OEMs.
Matthias, that sounds very impressive that we serve a lot of industries. But there I have one question. To serve different industries, you have different standards. What's the impact in the development process to serve these industries?
Yeah, that's something we hear a lot, and this was one of our main tasks when we certified our development process. We tried to harmonize it for different safety standards, so taking the requirements of, for example, automotive, railway, or automation industries, and there's a common theme between all of those. Often referred to as the V model. It's kind of obvious when you look at the graphics. So it's a V-shaped. You have the downward path of development, the upwards path of verification, and exactly. And most of the aspects in the different standards are very common. They often refer to or are derived from the IEC 61508. And so they share this common methodology. The namings might be a bit different. This is where we can help you, of course, if you want to use your development process in different industries where you are not that familiar. This is something that Hitex can help you with because we've done the work for our development process, trying to bring all of these different aspects together. It's very common. You have a kind of concept phase. You're starting with the system development down, and then you boil it down in detail to design process, and then to the very bottom on the implementation.
And as you mentioned, we have certified the process with the TÜV.
Yes, exactly. So the TÜV has assessed our process, has done a gap analysis. To be honest, there were some smaller gaps. We resolved all of those. And the TÜV was convinced that if we follow our process, then we can achieve, for example, an ASIL-D product. And this is something where we can also help you as a customer to achieve these goals.
Okay, as an account manager, I'm focused on the customer. So how is the process we work with the customer if there's a first request, often via email or via telephone? So the initial discussion is done with our field application engineering team, which is part of the sales team. They discuss in the first discussions, maybe in a WebEx or a team session, your requirements and the desired time frame. And then they decide whether your request will fit into our competency and in the availability of our resources. So if they are convinced that the project is feasible for Hitex and we can help you, we will set up with you a free workshop to refine your project or product requirements, and Hitex gains a deeper understanding of the application. Because we only can help you if you really understand what's the goal of your application, what are the use cases, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. There's often some kind of assumed requirements where you say, hey, this is obvious to us because you as a manufacturer of a certain product usually always do similar things. So there are kind of hidden requirements. And in our experience, when we have this first workshop, we already often identify some, let's say, gaps in a requirement specification. So our next step usually is, at least that's our preferred way to go, to have a common workshop or a concept phase, where the outcome will be a proof of concept, a detailed specification, ideally also a demonstrator, and at least from us also a quote for the final development. So the outcome will be an official quote. This you can take. Either you can order, of course, from Hitex, which definitely is our preferred solution.
I hope so.
But we are also very open that everything we provide in this first concept phase, you can take to our competitors and see that the best solution is still to go with Hitex.
Okay, sometimes we can skip this process if a very good and defined statement of work is available from the customer. But from our experience in the past, that's not often really good for detailed calculation. So this concept phase gives both security and the confidence that Hitex is a valuable partner for you and that we have thought about all the specifications. Maybe we do a proof of concept or demonstrator in this phase as well.
Exactly.
So what's your benefit? We say finish your project in time and budget. Yes, this is trivial, but how many projects are in your company? So I'm only talking not about you, I'm talking about companies we have learned. It's always a thing of time and budget. Often time and budget are not in place. There, use our know-how for more productivity. Safe and secure hard and software development for your project, either a complete solution including the application or dedicate work packages, for example, the driver layer or integrating functional safety and security in your given application. We are able to adapt the development process, but what can we adapt from the customers, Matthias?
Yeah, so oftentimes, of course, there are certain coding guidelines, for example, styling guidelines. This is, of course, something where we can follow your process. We can also develop completely according to your process. So we are used to either following our work packages, our templates, or we follow the ones from the customer. Of course, something like Misra rules or branching strategy in repositories. This is something where you can adapt, of course, to the customer wishes. And maybe one comment to the line above, like we are working in different industries. There is, of course, you saw in the process where the methodology is quite similar. That also translates to, for example, the lower level layers like drivers or middlewares. So here our experience from various industries comes into play. Oftentimes the customer has the best knowledge about their application or about their, let's say, industry specific knowledge, but of course our expertise on the functional safety that translates through all of these industries.
And what did the customer get after the development is finished?
Everything that he needs. That's a pretty blatant statement. So yeah, you get everything that is needed to finalize your product certification. We don't hide anything. We don't have any agenda to keep some information on our side that you will have to come to us later. We are always very open. When the project is done, everything is delivered to the customer. You will own everything.
So Hitex engineering team is your companion for your product development process according to your development process. So here symbolized with the V model. We have a lot of not only classical development, so we have a lot of predefined trainings and consulting packages you can book at Hitex. And the story here is choose the right one from our service menu. So sometimes we have customers, they need only a little bit consulting services starting a project to design the right controller, for instance. Other need only unit test. So please talk with us what you really need in your project. So we have talked about development, but consulting services and trainings are always available.
Yeah, exactly. There are a certain number of predefined services where say this is something that many customers use or need. So we define certain training packages. For example, with Safety Start, it's a design-in service where in the beginning of your project, where you need to decide, okay, which controller architecture is needed, with what safety or security standard do I have to fulfill? Is my process suitable for that? So this is a kind of guideline through the beginning of your project. When it comes to you've chosen your standard, you've chosen your technologies to be used. For example, if you look at the Infineon Oryx user manual, it is a quite big stack of paper. Here we are speaking from experience from our experts that use these technologies every day. We've come up with a, let's say, thin out version of the relevant documentation. This is our safety guidance package, where we point you to the important bits of the documentation. So you don't have to read all the things yourself. So we will point you to the parts that are relevant for your project at that phase. Same with the safety compliance. This is aiming at the process side of things. Which work packages or work products do you need? Which part of the process can you tailor out? This is also training with regards to the process or QMS side of things.
And I think if you need a certification of your product, you will go to the TÜV or another certification authority.
Yeah.
And always there's a question from customers, what do we really need to get a fast and reliable certification?
Yeah, exactly. Then moving a little bit more down in the V model to the hardware. Here we have with safety schematic, a reference design, for example, for the Oryx TC3 that should cover most of the, or does cover most of the use cases that we've encountered with customers. This is kind of a boiled down best of for the reference designs that we've seen so far to avoid collisions later in the project where you missed that one pin might not be suitable for a specific function. So we've looked at all the different use cases and put this into a reference design that later this year will also be available as a demo board. And what we are also often tasked with when a customer has done a hardware design to review those. This is also a standard service that we offer to our customers, and accompanying this, the analysis like FMEA, FMEDA, or when it comes to security, the threat and cyber security analysis, the TARA. And if one of the standard packages does not fit or does not complete all of your requirements or your knowledge gaps, we of course can also provide an expert engineer to be available for Q&A sessions, debugging sessions, or just general help in understanding of, for example, an Oryx or the documentation.
So that's a package we relatively often offer to customers because they want to develop their software and hardware for themselves, but they need some advice. So a good friend who helps if there are upcoming some problems. And if that is your need, please talk to us. So we are very experienced in these areas.
Yeah, once the fun part of development is done, of course, when we are talking about safety, we need to also test. And it's written here, I snuck a little bit of an error or misconception into the sentence. You should not start with the testing when you're done with development. In our experience, maybe 95% is might not be the exact number, but most of the projects are tested too late. Only when development is done, you think, oh no, now I have also to test something. And then you encounter the errors way too late. Hitex has a lot of experience in various testing levels from low level to high level. So this is one of the common themes, is that if you're testing too late, you will of course have to change things already in a very late stage of the project when your time is already running out. So here we are providing support on the low-level testing. So our safety unit test aims at software testing on the low level, on function level or on module level. And this can already be done when you have the first modules available. So not only if your product is completely done, but also accompanying the project. And when it comes to system testing or hardware in the loop testing, our sales colleagues either can support you with obtaining a test system that you can use on your side, or you can ask Hitex and our engineering or testing colleagues to do hardware in the loop testing on our test benches. And there's also the possibility for a kind of mixed approach where you will have access remotely to our hardware in the loop platform that Hitex is setting it up, making sure that it works, but you can also run tests on this system.
Okay, testing is a very huge field of knowledge here at Hitex, and I recommend you to have a look at our YouTube channel where we have a lot of webinars dealing with unit test and hill test. So last but not least, it's my job for doing the contracts and the offers. And we offer our services on a time and material basis or as a fixed price project. What's the best for you? Yes, that we have to discuss. So time and material is relatively trivial. We define together the scope of the services with you. What should we do? What should we do? And so on. We both agree a maximum budget in terms of time and money. And we only invoice the actual efforts in this project on a regular basis. So for instance, every month. So you have a fast track to our services because time and material contract is very small and we can sign it very fast because all the things are discussed during this consulting phase. So mainly consulting services we offer based on time and material because both of the partners, neither the customer nor Hitex, can say how many consulting time we need, and their time and material is a very good basis of this contract. On the other hand, customers request for fixed price project. Yes, we do this as well. But for that, we need a very detailed statement of work so that we both together know what has to be developed and we can agree to an acceptance criteria together based on the statement of work. And as we mentioned some slides ago, if there is no detailed statement of work available, so often we get only high-level requirements or others. Then we can work out a statement of work together. Based on the statement of work, we calculate the total effort, define the milestones, and prepare a quote. Based on a fixed price, and we conclude a development contract with you. So please have a talk with us. What's the best method is for you, fast or more detailed. So it depends on the project and depends on your needs.
Exactly. So of course, if you're in time pressure, time material might be the best way. Otherwise, usually the negotiations for a fixed price contract can be quite lengthy. It involves often sales or contract management. So it depends on your needs and of course on the level of available information.
Okay, my conclusion and summary. Hitex supports a lot of standards and can help you to do the transition from one standard to the other. Hitex has a long-term experience in safety and security development. We help you to go with your product in time and market, use your resources as best as possible, benefit from our experience, and focus your resources on your IP. And last but not least, save time and money with our expertise, our consulting and engineering and test services. It could be a really budget-friendly alternative to complete in-house development from the scratch for yourself. Okay, are you curious for more information about our complete product SafeTpal? So we have upcoming webinars in summer, in autumn. We are present on the ESE in Sendelfingen, and in December we will finalize this webinar series. If you're interested and want to book these webinars, I've integrated a link down there. So I would be very happy if you are interested in our other services and products of SafeTpal. And I'm looking forward to see you again in the next webinars. For more information about SafeTpal, visit our homepage or our SafeTpal page on our homepage. So we are now finished with our presentation. And Wolfgang, I'm very curious, are there any questions out of the audience?
Yes, thank you, Michael and Matthias, for your presentation. It was very interesting. Some questions have come in, and I've picked out two that might be of interest to everyone. The first question is, are consulting services available on site at the customer's premises?
Generally, we mostly work remotely from our locations here in Karlsruhe. It depends a little bit on the contract, but generally we try to avoid on-site work as it increases, of course, a lot of the cost for travel, for for hotel costs and so on. So the budget-friendly version, and we have good experience in doing most of these consulting projects remotely. Even usually the customer is also not present only on one location. So we often have that the customers are also spread across the globe. So bringing all together is kind of impossible in many cases.
But the first meeting on site to go in a personal contact with the project partners is very welcome and highly appreciated.
Yes, this of course. To get a bit of a personal connection, this of course helps.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. The second question is, do you have experience with mixed teams? For example, the customer develops the application and the service provider, Hitex, develops the lower layer?
Yeah, this is our preferred methods in many projects when it comes to very sophisticated products. Because of course the customer usually has a lot of domain knowledge for their specific use case or for their specific industry, and we have a very thorough foundation when it comes to functional safety, low level and middleware development. So this is kind of the best case that we can provide the safety part of the project, and the customer provides the application know-how, and we bring all this knowledge together. This has been done quite successfully a couple of times.
And I think if we define the milestones, we define handover points as well, where we provide development dropouts or first versions, what we have done, so that we are in constant synchronization with the customer.
Yeah, and we've also worked together with the customer, where the project management and license was on the customer side, that we provide the experts, and then they give them the tasks. So this also can work. Everything is possible.
And I think the common use case is that we have a common repository for source and documentation where all have access to.